Hi everyone and happy Friday. Sorry I can't be there today, but we're going to take this opportunity to review all the stuff we've done with polynomials so far, so you guys will be prepared for your quiz on Monday. You guys have been doing really well with polynomials, so I think that after this review you're going to be all set. So for the first thing on your worksheet, we're going to be naming our polynomials by degree and number of terms. So if you remember, when we have the same variable for all of our terms, then the degree is going to be determined by the highest exponent of the variables. So let's take a look at problems 2 and 4. So you can see problem 2 has the same variable, r. So we look at the exponents. The highest number is 4, so it's a fourth degree polynomial. Now, we count up how many terms there are. How many pieces of the polynomial are being separated by addition or subtraction. So I've got the one piece here with negative 10r to the fourth, and the other one, negative 8r squared, and we have that minus sign separating them. Because there are two terms, it is a binomial. Remember, the prefix bi means 2. Now let's try the same process for problem number 4. Again, we're going to check and see if we have the same variable in all of our terms. And yep, our variable is a for all of the terms. So now we need to look at the exponents. So you can see 6 is the highest exponent, because that 9 over there is a constant, would be to the 0 power. So since the 6 is the highest exponent, it's a sixth degree polynomial. And now we need to count up the terms. So I'm just going to draw some slashes through the plus and minus signs to show where the terms are being separated. So we got all the plus and minus signs in here, and it separated it into 5 terms. So we have a 5-term polynomial, which is the answer that I expect from you guys. If you were wondering, the name for that is a quintinomial. If you remember that from the notes, but I told you guys you didn't have to remember that, so that's just kind of a little FYI piece of information. Now we're going to go down here to adding and subtracting. Make sure you try to answer the critical thinking question. I want you guys to delve a little bit deeper into this information and make sure you understand. So we're going to look at problems 10 and 11 to just refresh your memory on how we do our addition and subtraction. Again, you guys were doing really well with this, so you should be fine. So the first thing I'm going to do is identify my like terms. Those have the same variable and the same exponent. Once I have my like terms picked out, I'm going to go ahead and combine them. So first, I'm going to have 4m to the fourth plus m to the fourth. Remember, that would be the same as 1m to the fourth. So 4 plus 1 is 5m to the fourth. And now I'm going to add up my m squareds. So I have negative m squared, or negative 1m squared, plus 5m squared. So if I do a negative 1 plus 5, I'm going to get a positive 4m squared. Now I check to make sure that it's in standard form, highest exponent to lowest, and it is, so that's my answer for this question. Now if you remember from the do now earlier this week, When we have a minus sign, we have to take that extra step of changing all of the signs after and including the minus sign. So now that I've flipped my signs to both be negative, I need to again identify my like terms, and then I can combine them with their new signs. So I'm going to look, and I have x to the fourth, or 1x to the fourth, plus a negative 3x to the fourth. That gives me a negative 2x to the fourth, because plus a negative is the same as subtraction. So 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Then I'm going to take my 5x minus my 4x, which is going to give me 1x, or just x. Again, I'm highest exponent to lowest, so it's already written in standard form. All right, turn over to the back of the sheet. You'll see there's a couple more difficult addition and subtraction problems there. And now we're going to just review multiplying. I'm going to show you guys the distribution method on problem 16 and the box method on problem 17. So with the distribution method, the important part is making sure that everything in the first polynomial is being multiplied by everything in the second polynomial. So I'm going to do 2n times n and 2n times negative 2, and then 3 times n, 3 times negative 2. Again, make sure that everything in the first polynomial is being multiplied by everything in the second polynomial. So now let's start doing our multiplication. We have 2n times n. Remember that those n's could both have a little 1 exponent next to them. They're both n to the first power. And the second one is 1n to the first power. So 2 times 1 is 2. And then 1 plus 1 is 2. So we get 2n to the second power. Now we're going to do 2n times negative 2. So that's going to be negative 4. And remember that 2 is kind of like an n to the 0 power. So 1 plus 0 is 1. So we have negative 4n to the first power. Now we're going to do 3 times n. So 3 times 1 is 3, and then n to the first power. And then we're going to do positive 3 times negative 2. A positive times a negative gives us a negative 6. Now we have to combine our like terms to put this into standard form. Negative 4n and 3n are like terms because they both have that n to the first power. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. The 2n squared doesn't have a like term, so we leave it alone. And the negative 6 doesn't have a like term, so we leave that alone. So our answer ends up being 2n squared minus n minus 6. So some of you liked the distribution method, but I'm going to show you the box method for the other problem, for the people that like that. So first I'm going to write my first polynomial going down, and my second polynomial going across the top. Now I'm going to draw in my lines to separate the terms of the polynomials, and give myself 4 boxes that I need to fill in with the multiplication. So I multiply the number above with the number by the side. So I have 4v to the first power times 5v to the first power. 4 times 5 is 20, and then 1 plus 1 is 2, so we get 20v to the second power. I'm sorry, my dog barked there. So let's put that second power there. Now I'm going to do the 5v to the first power times 3. 5 times 3 is 15. And then I'm going to put my v to the first power on the end of that one. Next, I'm going to multiply by our next row, the negative 1. 4v times negative 1 is negative 4v. And 3 times negative 1 is positive 3. I'm sorry, negative 3. Little slip of the tongue there. I was looking at the positive 3. Remember, the like terms are diagonal from each other in the box method. So negative 4v and 15v are like terms because they have the same variable with the same exponent of 1. So we're going to do 15 minus 4, which is 11. So we get 11v. The 20v squared and the negative 3 don't have any like terms. So they just get added on to the front and the back of the polynomial, and we just leave them alone. So our final answer for this one is 20v squared plus 11v minus 3. Down here at the bottom of the page, there are 2 more critical thinking questions. And I'm just going to give you guys a little extra information so you can do these critical thinking questions. On number 24, when it tells you to simplify, what it's really asking you to do is multiply those 2 binomials together. You'll see we have 4 different variables. So what do we do when we multiply different variables together? Let's take a look at problem number 22 to see how we do that. So in problem number 22, we have 2 variables, m and n. So let's go ahead and use the distribution method to multiply those. So I'm going to do the negative 4m times the negative 6m, n times the negative 6n, then the negative 4n times the negative 6m, and the negative 6m, n. Sorry, it's going to sound a little confusing with m and n. So negative 4 times negative 6m gives me positive 24m squared. Negative 4m times negative 6n gives me 24mn. So we multiply the coefficients, and then we just put the variables next to each other. They can't really combine any further than that. And technically that term is the second power because you add the 2 exponents of the m and the n in that term to get that. Now we're going to do negative 4n times negative 6m, which gives us 24nm. Although when we write our variables out in algebra, we usually put them in alphabetical order. So we can put that as mn as well. It's okay to change the order of the variables because multiplication is commutative. So then we're going to do negative 4n times negative 6n and get 24n squared. Our 24 mn's are like terms, so we have to combine them just like we do in any other multiplication problem. So we're going to get 48mn for that middle term. Then the 24n squared can go on the end, and the 24m squared goes on the front. And so that would be our final answer when we're multiplying with 2 different variables. See if you can figure out in the critical thinking question how it's going to work with 4 different variables. Next, we're going to simplify and classify by the degree and the number of terms this problem that we have down here. Now this one looks a little bit tricky because it looks like simple multiplication, but you can see that there's no parentheses around the 2x plus the 3x squared. So it is going to change a little bit the way that we do this problem. Because there's no parentheses around the 2x and the 3x squared, we're just adding the 2x. And so we need to remember our order of operations with this, because when you add something, that's going to go after multiplication. So don't add before you multiply. When you're multiplying, you're going to be distributing that 3x squared to the 4x and the negative 5. Like I said, order of operations is very important in this problem, just like the lack of parentheses. So I want you guys to finish the problems on both sides of this sheet, and this can also serve as a good study guide for the quiz that we're going to have on Monday. So I hope you guys have a great weekend, and make sure you turn this in to me at the beginning of class so I can give you credit and hand it back to you to use on the quiz.